I'm thankful to do so.
There's one more friend on the list. Tom?
I'm just going to ask him. Sorry, I'm doing a Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Science for Sustainability. So I was going to ask him, in a biological sense, really, as humans, we're just doing what any other animal would do. We're trying to increase our population because, you know, animals, as anyone, likes to reproduce. That's what we want to do. So, but why is it that we instead of, I mean, why do you think, I mean, you probably don't know, but why do you think that we, instead of actually evolving and actually changing as we, you know, change the environment, why is it that we just insist that, I know technology, these things that we create, these tools, will fix it for us? Like, why can't we change? Can we plateau in evolution or something?
Maybe they get grander stuff.
I'll have a go if I've understood. I think the critical thing here is the time dimension. And actually that's often what we forget about in many of the debates that appear in the media is, oh, we can achieve this much or have that much decrease or that much increase. But what we don't tend to talk about is how quickly that needs to be done or how quickly changes are occurring naturally. So to come back to your question, I think it's, you mentioned evolution, and evolution has occurred over an immense time to allow species to adapt to the changing conditions. So if the conditions change too quickly, you're caught out. And I guess we're changing the conditions exponentially fast.
And that's our fault. So could you then say, really, ultimately, this is kind of almost this is a very pessimistic view. Could you say that ultimately we are, because we've reached this plateau, we're going to push the planet to make it extinct? Anyway, no matter what happens, is that?
Sorry, so the plateau, what plateau are we on?
Well, I mean, do you really think that? I just don't. I can't imagine that a human, as current levels, are going to be evolving anymore, because we tend to just use technology and stuff, which is nothing to do with us biologically.
Well, I guess that's why I would suggest putting women in positions of leadership and power. So I think they have a better understanding of time spans. And I could generalise here. Some of you males might not like it, but generalising and say they love their children and care about the future generations more than men do, who like to see action quickly. So I throw that out there for your own discussion and debate.
Intrigued by this difference between male and female. I'm not sure they are as different in a lot of things like the culture. Yes, I agree that we are hampered by our biology, which changes very slowly. But I think there's one very crucial issue, which is we have the biologists telling us it's time to cut down in numbers and in resource use and everything else. We have the economists basically saying, if you do, the whole system will crash. We'll get recession, depression. And that's why Kevin Rudd is holding his 2020 talk fest on the assumption that the economy must grow. There must be more of everything, more affluence. Even as the reports keep coming in saying it can't go on forever. That's the real issue. There are steady state economists. There are people like Herman Daly. But as yet, you can't get our growth-dominated media to take much interest in them. But as I say, the ice is cracking. Things may change faster than you think. And we may discover it is possible to develop a steady state economy. Once people see they can actually live decently that way, then their biology might adjust to that. But just at present, there is absolute panic and terror at the notion of any slowdown in growth.
I think you've got to remember that population growth is very, very different around the world. There's very rapid growth in some places in Africa and parts of Asia, in Pakistan, Bangladesh, New Guinea, etc. Rapid population growth. But the big issue in evolutionary demography at the moment is not high population growth, it's very, very low birth rates. Is the big issue being discussed in evolutionary demography. That is that birth rates are at a level where populations are going to fall quite rapidly in a lot of advanced countries. And there's debate between evolutionary demographers and demographers like me. The evolutionary demographers say, well, in time, there will be adjustment to those, and birth rates will start to rise again. It will happen naturally. Whereas I say, get out there and get some policies in place to assist families to have children in these particular countries. So, as I said, from an evolutionary point of view, the big issue in demography is not the one you were talking about, but completely the opposite one.
So I think we are out of time now, so we'll hand over to Alistair. But just before that, if you go back to the March 4th lecture, remember Will Stephan showed you 20 graphs and he said everything changed in the 1950s, so it's a nice connecting point what Graham just said. So I suggest you go back and look at those overheads and see what those 20 things are that changed in terms of consumption in the 1950s.
Okay, well, I'd like to just say a few words to thank Mark and Peter and Graham. It was very interesting discussion that we had and the way it moved. Quite clearly, you had Peter and Mark viewing population trends from very different angles. But then Graham at the end, I think I was really struck by Graham's talk because it really brought a number of the issues into a sort of into a much more broader sort of discussion, which comes back to what Peter was saying at the beginning about demographics and other things that have an impact upon demographics. And it struck me how it almost everything that we've been talking about so far in the course is related to this population sort of issue, and so it made me realise the sort of the connectedness of just about everything that we talk about when we talk about environmental issues, from economic growth, as we were talking about last week, climate change, GHG emissions. If we're talking about resource use and resource waste, I love that term, the sort of the tailpipe, when we're talking about sort of waste. And of course, behavioural change is something we've been talking about all the time. And if I've got some time, I want to come back to what Graham said about that. And of course, what